Hello, ladies and gents, and everyone else watching or listening. Welcome to the Capture Mike podcast, episode 1, brought to you by Europa Halo. Podcast bringing you more gossip than the EU sauna, where we bring some of European Halo's finest faces onto mic for your listening pleasure. I'm your host, Joe Sketch, joined today by Mr. Premium Beef himself, Brendan Layden of Vosgian Machine. You know him as Gas. Gas, how you doing, man?
Not too bad, man. How are you?
Yeah, all good. So just to sort of fill you in, Gas, and also everybody else watching, these podcasts are basically one-on-one interviews where we try and build a picture of Europa Halo scene. Could be stuff back in the day, first LAN, any sort of like stories that you have from these LANs as well. Just to sort of big up an image, build that sort of character for the scene, especially those newer players coming in as well. And I guess the most juiciest topic for us to start with, out of all of them, has to be... just harking back, maybe 3 years, 4 years potentially now to...
It is 4 years.
Yeah, damn, it's been a long time. 4 years, 2018, Gfinity Arena, back in London. For those who didn't make it through the champ bracket, there's a cheeky FFA going, Gas. I mean, I'd love to hear your side of things before I say my own.
I think I breezed through round 1 and then get into round 2 and I see... Obviously, I see you next to me, and I'm like, "Oh, there's Big Joe. This is great. It's fantastic. A friendly face and all the rest of it." Well, turned out you weren't much of a friendly face in that. So, so we're playing, and obviously everybody else is taking it super seriously. They've got their black and their grey skins on, and all the rest of it. And I see this guy on Regret just flying through the air at me. This big orange Spartan just flying through the air, fiving me every single time. He's looking across at me. He's like, "Is that Gas again?" It's like, "The Gas again." I'd say you killed me about 3/4 of my deaths. Was literally you. Like I was tunnel visioned into deaths to Joe Sketch. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's a good time.
So
bombed out round 2.
A bit of like story from my side of things, right? Was I was coaching, so I wasn't even competing at the time. Just a month before, I was competing with Ken Dog's #1 fan. That was the team name. You know, they did place in champ bracket top 20. Conveniently after I left the team, so maybe you can read the lines there. But I opted out of the team because I thought I wouldn't have enough practice. Found myself coaching, thinking I wouldn't make the FFA because only, I think it's top 24 and below make the FFA, or basically who didn't make it through the champ bracket. And I breezed through round 1, and I see Mr. Gas, and sat next to me, of all things, and I just knew straight away I'm just going to look over towards you, and every time I see you, even if I lose the gunfight, I'm going to make some sort of snide remark, like, oh Brendan, you should be pushing there, mate. You should be pushing there. That was my
living rent free in my head, like honestly, this is outrageous.
Had to because I wasn't playing. That's my only chance of playing, apart from like the custom 8s after the on the side stations whilst things were on the main stage. Seeing Mr. Brendan next to me. Brendan, do you want to tell me who went through FFA?
Well, I didn't, and you did. Made a bit of a run, that one. Yeah, bit of a run.
I mean, I remember this, but people I probably played against didn't. But I think it was like in the semi-finals against like Here's to Now and Icon, and I think Fable might have been there as well in my FFA in that round, and I got dead last in my first round, as you expect of someone of my caliber. I think it was Haven FFA. I think it was called Mercy on Halo 5. Haven was a Halo 4 map, for those who don't know, probably the only good Halo 4 map. For dead last, 6th place, and it went by kills. So your kills are added up. Your first game and your second game, you have 2 FFA games, and then I win the second game.
One. Yeah, I remember that.
And it's still rocking my orange skin, as you always do. If you ever played me in like the custom 8 warm-up lobbies before you go into it, I was always rocking orange skin. But I was like, I must be free. I finished first in one, finished 6th in the other, and my teammates were like, we want to go get a Nando's. Want to go? Shout out to Cammy. Evil Panda and Mike Craftsich as well, because they were like, let's shoot off, let's go. Those were my teammates for the event, but that's who I was with. I was just waiting for the scores to come through. They don't say how many kills you lost by, but all you know is you're either in or not. You don't get like, you're 3rd place, you're 4th place, whatever. You can sort of work it out, but I must have done so poorly in that first one that it just didn't make it.
Didn't matter. Yeah.
Enough about me, because I mean, it's always good to give an ego boost at the start, but Brendan,
you take those, of course.
was your first LAN, yeah? So I had known you before. I think I'd known you through Curly Sniper online, maybe
Yes,
even a year
Adam.
before. So you'd played a lot of Halo up to that point. Talk us through sort of how you got to the stage where you're competing in the first place. Before even you get to the LAN, what sort of inspired you to get into competing? What sort of things did you like? Did you initially just start playing Halo and hear about it, or was it like started playing Halo because you wanted to compete?
No, I just started playing Halo just because it was fun. Like I think I got the Xbox for MCC. Yeah, MCC released, and I got that. I was like, oh, I'll give MCC a bash. Like, 'cause I played all the old Halos back in the day, but nothing like casual playing socials and all that kind of thing. Like, and then I was playing like COD with like my in real life friends, just playing like GBs and things like that. So I suppose I was playing like competitive games, but just not Halo. And then I get on to Halo 5 and just loved it, like loved it from minute one. Started smashing the game. Was like I was on like, as you probably remember, I was on like 5 meg internet. It was brutal. Like I was intermittently like I'd have a game where it'd be good, and then the next game be horrendous, and it'd just be like rinse repeat, and I just got used to it really. So then I think I was just playing like eights, like I think we had like a group chat for like eights back in the day. It was like Buttons, Adam, probably you, people like you know, that kind of group. And we were like playing eights and whatever. And then I think I met Shay through that, most likely, and then ended up playing with Big Shay, didn't I? And the rest is history, as they say.
Shay, big legend 6 in the scene. I think he's still competing as well. I've seen him
Yes.
definitely
Yeah.
still making his YouTube videos as well. So yeah, you sort of like you come through the 8 scene. I knew that there was a little. Was there a 7C clan? Am I getting that right? Or was that just
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. I was playing with a bunch of those guys as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I suppose, yeah, I was doing like that Spartan Company nonsense and whatever, like play away, just kind of ranked play and all the rest of it. And then I actually scrimmed with All Stars against Shay's team. So like it was, at the time, it was Ego, Xavier, and Shadow in the Hood.
Yeah.
Scrimmed Shay's team with Mike. Like, was absolutely pissing on them. They don't mind them saying I was pissing on them. And then they ended up picking up a young gun by the name of Precisionite. So my ego was deflated a little bit at that point. And then I linked up with All Shay, and we ended up placing the same as them, I think. So wasn't too
So,
bad.
so you basically shat on them so much that they were like, "Oh, we have to pick up this gas
I,
guy."
yeah, I'm
That's
gonna
what
go
you
with
said.
that.
Those are your words, right? They're not mine. They're your
Yeah,
words.
I'm going with that. I'll die on that hill, 100%.
What was it like when you first started like proper competing? Because obviously, like scrims is one thing. When you first sort of go into those, I guess it was online tournaments before
Yeah.
the actual LAN itself. What did it sort of feel like with like the comms? Talk me through who was on the team, because I know Shay was on the team.
Oh
Who else?
yeah.
Who else is there as well?
Yeah, so it was Hef and Plumbus. I don't think either of them compete anymore, but really, really, really cool dudes. I think the attitude towards scrimming was a bit interesting. So I don't think we were the most like, I don't think we were the most committed team by any stretch. I know me and Shay went over some VOD one day, and we were kind of like, well, where are the boys? Like, they're not here. But I don't think, I think we went in with kind of like very few expectations. Like, I don't know, had they been to events before? I know Shay had, and it was
Pretty
my
sure
first one.
F had as well. I'm not too sure
I think
about
he might have been
Plumbus.
Halo 3 or something, is what I was
Yeah,
thinking,
or
maybe.
H2A. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
have
So
to get him
I
on.
think,
He'll tell us if he's here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the attitude was fairly carefree. I think it was like, oh, we'll just go out, see what happens, and then, go from there. So I think my expectations were like much different to what they are now, if that makes sense.
What are your expectations now? Like, because obviously you continue competing. We'll go back to that first sort of LAN story and your placements with Shay and the boys, and also haven't mentioned the name yet, Brendan, of that team. We've been a bit
Oh,
reluctant
real
on that because
100%
it's a
real
classic.
plum, 100% real plum daddy.
Yeah, 100%.
Represent.
From my point of view, by the way, so I knew this was happening, but when I rocked up to LAN, I saw Mr. Gas, Shay, Plumbus, and Hef all with jumpers on, which had 100% real Plum Daddy on them as well. So like, it just became one of those. For me, Halo 5 is quite a few meme teams, right?
Yeah,
You think of
spicy
like
memes.
splicey memes. That's what everybody should think of first, right? Super
100%.
Mutant Volcano, Realist Tins, Ben's Coffee Lads, 100% Real Plum Daddy. Those are just some names that just come to mind about like just funny names.
Pinchies lot were always need new batteries, so I suppose they're kind of iconic in their own way.
Need new batteries as well. But yeah, so you said the expectations changed. That was sort of the first LAN. What's different now then?
So I don't think there was a whole lot going on. We'll say post 2018. I think they went back to Halo 3, if I remember rightly. So like I was brutal at Halo 3. I'm not even going to try and compete in that. So I think I was in college at the time. I was like, I'll just put it on the back burner. Might play again. We'll see. And then the Halo stuff kicked back off. The Halo 5 stuff kicked back off in 2019 or 2020 or something. And then obviously, sorry.
Straight after, so it was Face It Ignite, a Halo 3 event in 2019, and I'm pretty sure as soon as that was over, and as soon as there's one more North American event, so the latter end of 2019 into 2020, Halo Reach sort of got picked up, but a lot of people were playing Halo 5. Halo Reach.
Yeah, so I suppose I think we were playing those opens. The teams kind of chopped and changed, but I know I was playing with Shay throughout. Played with Adam for a couple of weeks. I think we started playing with Hershey for a couple of weeks. I think we finished playing Halo 5 with Hershey and Shay. And I don't think we had like I literally don't think we had like a stable fourth that whole time. We just kept on like chop and change. Nobody was sticking. So it was a bit, disheartening a little bit, not having like a team to just like actually kind of work around and constantly looking for people and stuff like that. But it was good. I think the improvements even from like 2018 to the end of Halo 5 were there to be seen, and then into Infinite.
Yeah. So it was you, Legend 6, and Harshly.
Yeah.
Are these during the HCS sort of Pro Series? Because there's some online tournaments in 2021 called the HS Pro Series and Open Series for Europe as well. Was that the sort of things you're playing in?
Yeah, exactly. The Europa stuff that was still knocking about. All that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're still playing. Up until
Halo.
Yeah, of course. I'd say honestly, between Warlord and myself, I'd say we're up there in most attended competitions in Europa. I've been to a lot. Like,
you know what, Mr. T and Crumpets will have those stats. He'll be able to know who's been to the most Europa Halo
tournaments. Up there. I can't lie. I've got to be up there in terms of attendances. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to find out. I'll have to ask him, see if he can get a little tweet out, see what he says. So anyway, you talk about going into Halo Infinite. I want to sort of do a little contrast here. So you've been to two LANs, if I'm correct in saying, right? Yeah. So you went to the 2018 Gfinity London LAN, which is where we clashed heads. I won, obviously. So 100% ratio over you on LAN. Online, probably on like 4% ratio, but so LAN's where it counts. And then so you go into Halo Infinite. I guess. Yeah, we'll do the LAN comparison, and we'll talk about your whole Europa Halo Halo Infinite, Europa Halo stuff afterwards as well. So Valencia, second LAN. That's quite a contrast between London, Gfinity, and basically in a cinema, to HS Valencia, DreamHack,
an event center run by DreamHack in Valencia. Yeah, it was wild. Honestly, it was insane. Like going there and seeing like. They're just amongst pro players, not just pro players from Halo. It's like pro players from like all these other games. I think there was CS going on. There was the female CS going on. There was like maybe Hearthstone or something as well. No, not Hearthstone. StarCraft as well, I think. There was literally, it was just pure esports to the core. It was crazy. It was such a good experience, honestly.
So, leading up into the event. Like, was your team like set in place? You like, okay, right? Because I'm pretty sure you with Harshly. Talk me. You know more than me. Because just a bit of backstory. I created a little Emojo Gaming intro.
Yeah. You'll have to link it.
For the team, yeah, we'll have to link it. We'll get it on stream. We'll get some way to show it. So I know the final roster, but I'll allow you to speak about it in a moment. But there was definitely some. Even like 2 weeks before the event, you were clashing between players, right?
Yeah. So I think kind of a similar situation to 2018, honestly, or 2019, was we had a three. We had me. I was now playing with Lindes, who's obviously been around for a long time, and Quickbite, the Portuguese player, phenom, absolute legend. So the three of us were playing, and same situation. We were kind of like rocking different forts and things like that. And then we end up with Jo, the former Halo 3 Irish player, back in the scene, back playing. We're scrimming with him. Things are going really well, and I think maybe about 3 or 4 weeks out, we're like discussing like travel arrangements to like get there and things like that. And he like brings up the fact that he still doesn't have a passport, and I'm like, well, what do you mean you still don't have a passport? It's like, I thought this got sorted. And he's like, nah, it didn't get sorted, or whatever. So we're scrambling trying to get this man a passport. It's fun. It's kind of something I work in, to be honest. So I was able to help.
Right, okay.
But unfortunately, the timelines, the date it said it was going to arrive was the day that he was going to fly, or the day, I think it was like the day after or something he was going to fly. So it was really tight window. So I made the call, and the lads rue me for it. That I said, we're going to drop Jay and get somebody who's 100% going. So for better or worse, we made that change with about 2 weeks to go, a week and a half to go.
Okay,
so,
a bit of time to sort of go. I mean, I don't know how much scrim time you can get into that. It's not ideal. How did Jo take it? Did you tell him, or was it like a team, like get him a Discord? Sorry, mate. We'd want you to go, but we're not too sure.
Yeah, he's a little rat. He's a little snake in the grass. I tell him over WhatsApp, and I'm like, oh man, I said to be honest with you, this is a dodgy situation. We need to get somebody sorted. He's like, man, you do you. Like, it's honestly sorted out. It's no problem. I completely get it. And then he's in party chats that night going, did you hear Gas dropped me? Gas dropped me for Harshly. Like, what's going on? And all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, not this shit. Like a week and a half out. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, he did take it well. He took it in a kind of a joking manner. Yeah.
Yeah. Slightly, I guess, slightly a bit of salt, a bit of seasoning on that joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Do you know if he got the passport in time or not?
He did.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is it like on the day, or was it like...
No? He got it like well in advance. It came early.
Did he message you again saying, "I've got a passport"?
No. So he
like, nah.
No. So like at this point, to be honest, I was like, I was saying it to the lads. I was like, I just want to stick with this now. I don't want to like go back and I'd obviously told Aidan he was in now, and I didn't want to go back to him and say you're not and whatever. So I was like, no, we're going to stick with this 4. And Jay was like, again, he was doing his thing. He was in party chats being like, oh, do you hear the lads though? Like, they want to pick me back up again and all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, man, stop it. Like, he tried to make a last minute team happen, but he didn't want to go unless it was like, a decent team, a team that he could have done like as well as maybe we were going to do or otherwise, or better, I guess. Cause I know he had some decent offers, but I don't think any of them materialized. So.
Yeah, I guess it is tricky. Like, even with like a week and a half left, you knew that. I think Harshy said he was going no matter what, or he was going to compete in the FFA.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't. And that was massive. Yeah. Like, from my point of view, as you say, it's different to we played with him before, and it's different to London. So like Valencia, like he like Jay would have had to sort travel and accommodation and all the rest of it, and like, do you know what I mean? There's a bit going on there logistically. That it was just simpler to just be like, look, we have our 4 now. Let's stick with it and see what we can do. Do you know? And I think we all went in with that mindset, which was good. Do you know what I mean? Nobody they did hold it against me, but not in a mean way.
So you got your squad, even if it's like 1.5 weeks later. Lindes, yourself, Quickbite, and then Harshly as a 4. Then I didn't go to Valencia, so just paint a picture for me. Like, what was it like? I know you said there's loads of different esports like going on at the same time. Sure, the venue was massive, but what was like what were the stations like? How did you get on at the event as well? Sort of like a whole picture. I wish I was there, basically.
Yeah, of course. So no, the stations, the area was savage. It was really, really good. I know. Some of the admins, like Xavier was one of the admins there, and Bittersweet, I think, was another one of the admins. Fantastic. Honestly, I have no complaints about any of them. I thought they did a brilliant job. It was a round robin format. I think is that the right way to explain it? There was 2 groups. And basically, I think so. There was 6 in one group, and there was 7 in the other one. If you came top 2, you went to the winners bracket of champ bracket. If you came in third, fourth, you went to the losers bracket of champ bracket. And obviously, 5th, 6th, 7th gets eliminated from the pools.
And
So
champ bracket already had the pro teams in,
all
right?
all the pro teams, yeah, exactly. So we go to the event, and I think our pool changed like the night before. It was kind of wild. So I think because Marine's team made a change, it like messed up all the pools. Warrior O'Neill did a runner, never showed.
Oh,
So we leave him explain that one maybe, because I think it's a bit of a spicy one. So he doesn't go, and they're left scrambling for a fourth. They get Gambit, who obviously is a fantastic player in his own right. I mean, brilliant. So I think that kind of messed with the seeding a little bit. So our teams were like changing constantly. We were just like, look, we'll go out on Friday, and we'll give it to whoever is in front of us. It doesn't really matter. We kind of fancied ourselves to maybe progress to the winners bracket, but we were like, look, either which way, we should get through, based on the online performances. Now, online versus LAN, different thing, as you know. Like, my first LAN wasn't too good, so I wasn't 100% convinced until I got there. Put it that way. So yeah, so I think we played how many matches? So we played 5 matches, I think it was. And we won 6 matches, and we won
in the group of 7, man.
We were in the group of 7, and we won 4 series, all 3-0s, so that was fantastic. And we lost 2 series to Frostbite, the Finnish team, and to Witchblade, which was Dan's team with Gambit. But we lost that one 3-1, so it was pretty competitive.
Who'd you beat, Brendan? Any familiar faces? Anybody you thought actually that would have been a closer game, or was it just like?
Trying to think who we beat. So we beat a French pickup team that had like Snaga and like Zumas and things like that on it. I don't really remember. Their full team wasn't particularly strong. So unfortunate, fellas. We played the Portuguese guys, Lernko and Potazil. So that was a bit of a grudge match for Quickbite. I think he wanted to give it to them. I think they wanted to play with him months previous, weeks previous. And obviously he chose to stick with myself when I left my team. So we gave them the beans, and then we played. We also beat the Italian team. So that was like Rinix and Neji and things like that.
That's in Halo 5. That'd be a good team.
Yeah. No, they were good. And then we also beat Nelk, Rampage, Penguin, and PG 120. That was our last series. So at that point we were already qualified, but we still wanted to win. You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah.
So did you place third then?
We placed third. Yeah. So Frostbite absolutely annihilated us. It was over in about 20 minutes. So the Finnish team were insane on LAN. I was like so surprised. Not surprised, but they were good online. They were unbelievable on LAN. They were so good. And then the Witchblade series against Dan's team, we win the first map, and I think the second map was quite close, and possibly the third map. It was quite a close series. It was a bit back and forth. I think the boys were a little bit nervous. They didn't think they were going to lose maps to us, to be honest. I don't think.
Oh, so you made them squeaky.
What map did you win? It was a bit squeaky bum, I think, for them. 100%.
What game mode and map did you win?
We won Strongholds Recharge, which was probably our worst map going into the event. Worst map and mode combo. And actually, the funny thing is, Dan was in a party chat with us maybe about a week or two beforehand, being like, right, like I was like, just tell us what to do, because I was like, we're clearly making some big errors here. And he was like, oh, you want to like set up like this, and you want to break like this, and then we play them, and he's just like, why did you just do all of the things I said against us? Like, what's going on here? Like, it's absolutely picture perfect. Followed it, like, yeah.
Oh, right. So so you're through then. So in the losers bracket, you go into it. Who did you play? Is that Saturday? So this was all on Friday, Thursday.
This was all on Friday, and then we get in there on Saturday. And I think, am I right in saying that? Yeah, I believe so. So we get in on Saturday and we have a look at the bracket and we see we're playing Witchblades again and we're like, well, this is it's a bit peculiar. So we're asking the admins, we're like, what's happened here? And he was like, oh, we like redrew it due to seeding. And I remember just looking at the bracket being like, this doesn't make sense. Like we just lost them. They were the last team so I suppose we'd lost them the day before, but it was still fresh in our heads that we'd lost them, and we're there playing them again. But I think it turned out that the team that played fourth, they also played the Finnish team. So we played basically the same teams in our pool again, which was a bit unfortunate because I think some of the other teams we would have given pretty good games to. So
who were the other teams in the first, second slot in the other group?
Yeah, so I think it was Skitlight or they're not Skitlight anymore, but the Swedish team, Beatley and the boys.
They question reality nowadays because they changed to that. I don't know if they still question reality or they changed again to something else. I think
they were Swedish Vikings at the event, if I'm being honest. I think, and then the other team was Wholesome Youths, so it was like Gov and Baxter, Desire. I think to be fair, I think they'd have beaten us. But I think we were looking forward to playing. We wanted to maybe play like the Swedish team, or I think somebody dropped early from the pools as well. I think Kaidem and Boaz's team dropped early, so I think they would have been. I think they would have been an interesting one as well because I think they were a bit shaky the first couple of series, and then I think they got it together as kind of the event went on. So that might have been interesting. But again, we had close games again with Witchblades. I mean, we lost 3-0, but like they were saying, like they really, we did push them pretty tight. I think we lost a Catalyst flag in overtime and an oddball by like 3 points or something. It was tight.
Yeah. So basically, like you might have that loss in your head, but they're also like slightly nervous as well because they've already played you. You've taken a game off them. I know they won overall. But anything could happen in that scenario as well.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think on paper they'd have been odds on to beat us quite handily. Shurzy 2 is obviously really really good player. Dan in his own right's really good player. Gambit and Dark Boss was their fourth, so they're all like pretty good players, like by all accounts. So I definitely think on the first day, I think we had them on the ropes a little bit. I think the second day, I think they were a bit more like, okay, these guys are going to give us a good series. I think they were a bit more mentally like ready for that kind of fight.
The game. Yeah, definitely. So when you were out of the tournament, what was the rest of it like? So obviously you got the side stations. Were they anything like the Gfinity ones, or were they more sort of like open spaces where you can watch? What was the main stage like when you saw some of those games as well?
The side stage was quite hard to get into. It was kind of like up on a platform. So you couldn't really like watch those games, but they did have 3 big tellies that you could watch it on, so that was pretty cool. The actual like free play stations were used again for the FFA. So we all played the FFA again. I comically go out in round 2 again, which is just tragic. But obviously, yeah, it was the mental of Joe Sketch coming back to haunt me.
They're looming over you, just like in your thoughts.
Yeah, I think I did I did pretty good in the first one as well, and then the second one was just a car crash. But then I'm like looking around and I see Quick Bites out, and Sean was in my group and he's out as well. And then I look across and I see Aidan still going harshly, and he's like the most locked in man I've ever seen. Like I'm looking across at this guy and I'm like, this guy's here to win it all. Like he was in it to win it, and sure enough, he did win it. So it was pretty crazy turn of events from his point of view.
I mean, for a guy who was picked up last minute, but like a week before, I know he's going anyway for the FFA. But like out of all the preparation, surely he was like the least prepared. But man,
in a four sense, maybe. But to be fair to him, he was playing like there was Monday Cups for the FFA. Like every Monday there was an FFA. He was playing them like religiously every Monday. He was on it like. And I'd play like 1 or 2, and then I'd maybe miss a week or 2, and then I'd be playing it again. I wasn't too bothered. Like to be honest, I don't particularly enjoy FFAs. I quite like fours and the way fours plays a lot more so. But this guy was like he was getting to like quarters and semis. I don't think he got to a final, but I think he was like pretty consistently placing pretty good. And that's obviously with all the pros included. That play. Versus at LAN, he's not playing like Legend's not playing in the FFA because he's still playing on bloody main stage. Do you know what I mean? Like so, obviously he's not playing in the FFA. So yeah, no, it was honestly it was fantastic to see him succeed in that way. I was so delighted for him.
Oh yeah, and I guess like you can take some credit as well. I mean, sort of, I guess, or you can sort of like be proud of him.
He said he didn't hear any of it, but I was hyping him up in the finals. Like I remember there was actually one quite funny one where I think he was up. He started like a house on fire. He was like 13, 14 kills up in like minutes. Like the game was over about halfway in. It was crazy. And he started like, I think it starts to dawn on him, like not in a nervous way, but a bit like I've done it, like this is happening. And he flies across, it's Aquarius, and he flies across top mid, and he's like one shot, and he's like he just jumps up and he's like, I'm a free kill top mid. Who wants it? And like, Penguin's chuckling to himself because he's killed a one shot, and Penguin's like gotten all of his kills stolen that whole game. Like he's got about 5 kills, he's got about 20 assists or something. He's raging, but he's delighted because he gets the one shot top mid. He was like, I listened to your call out. So no, it was quite funny seeing him. Like obviously for the first like couple of minutes, he's like so locked in, and then as the game goes on, I think it's a bit like, yeah, I'm doing it, like, so he starts getting a bit more confident in himself, which was nice to see.
It sounds like your second LAN was like the ideal thing. I mean, sure, the placement was awesome. I mean, was it top 24 in the end? Top 20?
Top 20. Yeah.
Still, yeah. So that's like champ bracket technically.
Yeah. Like I know that the teams, like the attendees or the attendance was disappointing. But I think fundamentally the way that we were playing in the online cups and the way we played at LAN, like I think we'd have got top 20 if there were 60 teams there. Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
I think I still think we would have got. Yeah, no, 100%. Like I think like we were sweeping teams like obviously I think Frostbite ended up coming top 12 if I'm not mistaken, top 12. Dan's team come top 16. They lose to the French like Jericho and Bastos and them. But yeah, like I think aside from those guys, like nobody else gave us problems. So I think we genuinely would have got like top 20 regardless, like, or top 20, top 16, depending on who we got. Yeah.
So top 20, top 16. I want to rewind if I can speak properly. I would like to rewind back to that first LAN. I don't know if there's any rivalries you going into Valencia, and I'm sure you can elaborate in a second, but going into that first LAN, Brendan, there was. To paint a picture, right? 2018 Halo Twitter, EU beef, like it dies off after a LAN, maybe like a week, a month after a LAN, but then like everybody starts to come back out of the woodworks, out of the little like crevices that they're hiding in until that month before LAN, and that's where you get the most premium beef. One of those beefs, and I don't know how it started, Brendan. I know how it ended.
No, I know how it started. Yeah.
That beef was between you and someone you mentioned earlier. Need new batteries, Pinchy.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you say, like how do you get into a scene? So obviously I'm playing away matchmaking, and I'm playing 8s and scrims and all the rest of it. And I'm playing matchmaking. I was smashing matchmaking. I was playing it pretty religiously. Most evenings playing 2-3 hours, whatever. Like, you know, just because I enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't like a grind as such to me. It was just enjoying it. So I'm playing away matchmaking, and I'm constantly pissing on this guy called Pinchy, and I'm like, I say it once to Shay, I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, he's messaging me after games, calling me trash and telling me he's gonna shit me on LAN. I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, oh, don't mind him. Like he's just banter. Like he's just taking the piss. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I think, I don't know, we might have been in a party sometime, or like we might have been in the same chat or something. And like he was like, oh no, like you're Irish, like 100% you're going to LAN and you're coming last. Like, and I'm beating you, so don't worry about that. Like, and I was like, okay, fine. So we go to the event anyway, and sure enough, we dropped to the losers bracket like almost immediately. And I'm like, oh Jesus, here we go. And we look at the bracket. And sure enough, we're playing need new batteries in losers round 2 or losers round 3 or something. And I'm like, right, okay, this is the boys, isn't it? This is the game. And I don't remember. I think they might have taken map 1. I don't know, was it a 3-0 or a 3-1, but I think they might have taken map one, or else it was close. And he was getting quite loud at me. And I think there had obviously been a kind of a few altercations where he was kind of still saying what he was saying online. Like he was worth his salt. He came up and he was saying it to me on LAN. He was like, I'm still gonna shit in you, but like, we're good, like. So then we end up beating them, and like, I just let it all out. Like I think I was straight on Twitter, like quote tweeting all the old tweets and like sending them back out again, being like this guy was all just saying all this shit, like, and there he is now in the mud, like. He still to this day thinks he'd still got a better pistol than me, but I tend to disagree.
When LAN counts, like
exactly,
that's everything you can go off of. Who was that? Who was his team? So it was him. I think Dash was on it, right?
Yeah, it was him, Snailed It, Dash, and Nedrum. So to be fair, I think they were a bit of a throw together team. Withstanding Snailed It and Pinchy were friends or friendly. But
I feel like some players always say, well, it was a makeshift team. It was a makeshift team.
100%. Yeah.
It might be the case, but I think they're hiding sometimes behind that. I mean, obviously, I'm a neutral party. I'm just saying, but sometimes that's the case, So from my point of view of that event, it was so loud. So imagine like a cinema, a UK cinema. You've got all the chairs like behind, and then you've got this big sort of stage, and there's 7 or 8 side stations. So it can be 7 or 8 games individually going on. That's a cacophony of sound, right? From different teams shouting. Maybe some teams just won, and you can't really walk up and watch a game.
It was kind of like. Yeah, you're right. What you're describing. So there was these stations, and then it was almost kind of like railed off as such, wasn't it? Like there was kind of barriers, and everyone used to stand behind the barriers to watch the game. So you'd be looking at the closest monitor, you'd be peering in, kind of seeing what's happening. But then for our series, as you maybe, are you going to allude to, or will I keep going?
You can say it. You're the one playing.
Yeah. So I remember when we were playing, and I think again it might have been after map 1 or something. I'm like looking around. It's like, as you say, really loud. Looking around, and I'm seeing like loads of people behind me. I'm like, what's going on? Like this is after getting a bit bigger than just us, like. And I think Lethal, the EU Lethal, I think he kind of like trotted in and decided he was going to start watching Pinchy and this war that was going on in the losers bracket. And sure enough, everybody got the go ahead to kind of go in and watch as well. It ended up being like the best experience ever, because there's like a full blown crowd watching our war with these lads. Like it was hilarious.
And you on the winning side as well.
And we're on the winning side, so the best part.
Yeah, I mean, I was in that crowd. I'm pretty sure, like, when like a caster does something, or like when someone like in the HS does something, everybody else can just follow through. Yeah. I don't think there was many other games going on. I think that was also the case. It might have been the last game or one of the last 2 games to be sort of on at that point.
Maybe so. Yeah.
I was stood behind. I think I was stood behind Shay. No, Shay was on the left, right? Do you remember where Shay sat? I think I was stood. I think
me and Shay were sitting together. Yeah.
On the right hand side.
Yeah, on the right hand side. Yeah.
So I was stood behind basically you two from this picture, so I can see the premium milk plays live, or the Hunter Plum Daddy plays, I guess, at that point. Live, and it was just. Sometimes side station games are the hypest thing when you go to these events. I remember going back to like reverse sweeping. Insane Lobsters might have reverse swept, or B Genius might have reverse swept Epsilon or something like that on a side station at Wembley, and everybody crowds around. And it's not like a sit down watch a main stage sort of atmosphere. It's everybody sort of like leaning over each other, sort of pushing between each other, trying to find a spot. That was that sort of game, because everybody had heard of the beef going into it.
Yeah, 100%. I think everyone had heard about it. Like, honestly, like I think pros were aware of this. Like,
I'm pretty sure there were pros there as well, just like silently watching it as well. So that must have hyped you guys up when you won.
Yeah, I think it was quite funny, because Shay always recounts to me that that I was really quiet for the first couple of maps. Like I was calling out and whatever, but I wasn't like getting loud at them for the first couple of maps. And then, quite like Aiden and his FFA. It's like when the writing's on the wall in game 4, and we're pissing on them at this point. It's a strongholds on the rig, and we're like clapping cheeks. It's like 80 to like 10 or something, and I'm like, this is over. I've had a scatter shot all game. I've got Pinchy raging because he can't get a pistol fight with me because I'm just running around with a scatter shot, just piecing him up. And I get really loud at the end of the series, and Shay just thinks it's hilarious because he's like, this guy wouldn't say anything when during the series, but as soon as he knew he was going to win, that's when he stood up and got loud. Yeah.
Oh, I love little stories like that.
It was good. It was a good time. I think the most comparable one actually. I remember Scorched Hand versus Black Hand at Valencia. That had a bit of a crowd because I think there was kind of some rivalries going in there, and I think maybe possibly Black Hand overlooked them a little bit. I don't really know, but that was a cracking series. I think that was also a 3-2.
Main station or side station?
Reverse sweep. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was like a cracker of a series, and like it had so many eyes on it. Like
those games are like the best parts of a LAN for me. I think for a lot of people, because main stage games where they do go 3-2 and they go really sort of close and it's late on in the tournament, those are fantastic. But as what I would say a self-appointed average Halo player, you know everybody around that level, and now it seems like I'm just calling everybody average, but you know what I mean, like you know the AM players, let's say them, the amateur players, more than you know the pros. So you know the little feuds in these ones. They're the games which count, even though it's round 2, losers round 2, that's a massive game. And a lot of those sort of like faces sort of bring onto the stage. I absolutely love those sort of LAN things. Brendan, we don't have much more time left here. On the
we're gonna have
Captain
to
Mike podcast episode 1. Is there any final remarks you want to say?
Just keep the milk premium. It's good time chatting to you. I'm sure we'll do it again.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Brendan. I actually loved every second of it. Just to even though we've been to some of the same events or one of the same events, it's so cool to see a different side of it. But that is pretty much everything we've got time for here on Capture Mike episode 1, brought to you by Europa Halo. Thank you all for joining us on our first ever episode of this podcast. Stay tuned, your BRs ready, and we'll see you next time.